All right, here, let's try that again. We're glad you guys are all here. You're going to get some amazing information tonight. So I'm going to speak as short as I can so that the star of the day can take over. Lerina has some amazing insight and some really great wisdom that she's gained over the years, which you probably figured out already this last week, Thursday. She did ask me just to do a couple opening comments, just to sort of like lay a foundation for what we're looking at here. Because often when people come together for something like this, workshop or a demonstration like this, you come with certain mindsets or expectations of, we're going to tell you what to do and what not to do and how to change your life and how to lose weight and how to gain weight and all that kind of stuff. That's not the intention, all right? I'd like to give an opening line here, which might be a bit of an odd one for a person to start with for a workshop like this. The word says, "There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus," right? Often people will maybe attend something like this or listen to the session that we had on Thursday night and start feeling, oh man, I'm just not where I'm supposed to be, and I'm feeling guilty about stuff, and I'm not feeling good about myself, and I just got to change things, and things are not well, I'm not where I'm supposed to be health-wise. That is not necessary. In the kingdom of God, there is no condemnation. There is no guilty feelings for the way we are. God loves us exactly the way we are, right? He also loves us enough to want us to be better than what we are and to move on than what we are. But if we don't, it doesn't change His love for us, right? And if we take a look at the other side of it, the Bible does teach us that the Holy Spirit does bring conviction. That's not a guilty thing. That's not a condemnation thing. That is a good thing because He's nudging us in a better direction, right? Also because He loves us. So if my health state is not exactly like it is, and mine personally is not where I want it yet, I don't need to feel condemned about that. I don't need to feel guilty about anything. I don't need to feel remorse of anything because this is where I'm at right now. And God's grace and growing in righteousness is allowing me to progress, right? So I wanted to just let you guys know that God loves you anyways. Which brings me to another point. The reason why we take care of these bodies should not overmind or undercut the next thing. It is for the love and to the glory of God that we do these things. That is a mindset kingdom people have to grasp. That I take care of this temple because it is the one that God gave me as a gift, right? It's the only body I got. It's the only one I'm ever going to have. And He gifted it to me with all of its amazing, miraculous functions. Just think of eyesight or the ability to touch and feel and pick up and walk. Just the idea of walking is a miracle in itself for us, right? So He has given us an amazing gift. So out of appreciation, out of love, I want to give back to Him the best that I possibly can, right? And in addition to that, and that's something Lerina has really taught me, is the Word does teach us to do all things and whatever we do to the glory of God, right? And I think sometimes we forget the fact that I'm supposed to live and move and have my everyday living and life to His glory as well. I should be a reflection of His glory, right? So what I do now by taking care of myself is also saying, God, I glorify You with what You've given me. I want to shine as bright as I can in every part of my life. So we just wanted to lay that foundation, that this isn't about you got to fix your life now. You got to line up, all right? It's about, let's just continue in the love of God, continue serving Him with what we've got. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Then I thought also, just to save Lerina having to answer all the typical questions that we usually get, I'm going to give you just a couple definitions of a few terms that people usually talk about when this kind of topic comes up. All right. The first one is, what is really genetically modified organisms, which is what GMO stands for. All right. It is a buzzword that's all over the place. Sometimes we think we know what it is. Should I even care about it? This is really what it is. They will take whatever product they have, whether it be technically it would be from the cow. They're not genetically modifying cheese, but whatever is producing the product. Let's say it's wheat, all right, or vegetables or fruits, all right. Pretty soon in Canada, you're going to see what they call the no brown apple, right? It is an apple that will not go brown. It will be, in a sense, going bad, but you will not know it's going bad. It'll be pure, nice, crispy, red or white inside, it's going to stay, it's not going to go brown. All right? That means genetically modified. What have they done? They went down into the cellular structure, the parts that we don't see with the naked eye. They have altered the cells, technically the DNA of it, so that they've taken out or interrupted the characteristics that they want to remove from a certain product. Or they've added to it in the hope that it will be, let's say in the way of grains or corn, that they'll be able to produce more. Another thing that they do is they modify things so that insects will not be able to or would not want to eat that kind of plant. Which is why now we're starting to get what they call superbugs that are becoming immune to a lot of stuff. All right? So what they do is they change the cellular structure right down in the DNA. And what happens though is it creates brand new proteins which they cannot control. So in a sense, it's almost like slot machines. They're doing whatever they can do, but it's creating proteins that they can't actually reduplicate. All right? So now it's creating sort of a weird concoction of an original wheat or whatever they're changing. All right? Now what starts happening is because the proteins are changing, they're not natural proteins which were designed to feed us nutrition. So now the proteins are changing, and when you start consuming those, your body doesn't know how to handle them because they're not natural proteins anymore, the way they were originally created. That is now having huge effects on people's health without maybe even knowing it. But if you go to the medical professions, they won't connect it to your GMO, your modified foods. They will prescribe you give you a prescription or a painkiller or something to cover up symptoms rather than going back to the source, which is the people that are actually producing our food. All right? Does everybody understand a bit more of what GMO stands for? So when you're eating, that's what you're eating. All right? Yes. But there is hope, so we're going to cover that. Another definition, organic versus certified. All right? There is a lot of...
She said a online student.
Oh, right on. Organic versus certified. Now, everybody, when you walk into a store or in a restaurant and you're going to say, do you have any organic stuff? They're going to say no. But it doesn't actually mean no. Because the typical word now, if I say organic, I want to see an organic stamp. That's what they're assuming. But not everybody can produce an organic stamp. Lerina's going to talk to you about local harvest, where we buy our vegetables and fruit and berries and things from. They're not a certified organic producer. But they practice all the certified or all the organic farming principles, right? So there is no sprays, there's no pesticides, there's no herbicides. They don't put things in the soil. They don't have any genetically modified stuff. It is what food was originally, and they're growing it in the original way. But certification means there's a lot of money involved. It takes a huge price tag. Once a year, you got to be registered with whatever certifying body you've got. A lot of most small farmers can't do it. We just visited the only certified goat cheese farm in Western Canada 2 days ago. And for the first time, they had to drop their certification because it was just too expensive. Small home family farm, best cheese on the planet, or not this one though, unfortunately, but that's what's happening, all right? So if it says certified, that is a good thing. Now, what is certified organic? Here's some good news. In Canada, if it is certified organic, it is not GMO. So if it has a certified, you don't even have to ask them. It is not permitted to be genetically modified foods if it has a certified organic stamp on it. That is part of being certified organic. All right? Also, obviously, with certified organic things, it basically means there is no pesticides, there's no herbicides. However, now you got to look at where does it come from and who grows it, because certified organic does mean they can use organic sprays to use on their stuff, right? I can't remember the one, was it a sulfide? It's an organic sulfide which they will spray on berry plants, and they'll tell you we do it before it blossoms, before the flower is out, so you're not getting anything whatsoever, but it is organic. It's a natural spray that they use. I asked myself, would I want to drink a teaspoon of sulfide? No, right? And the thing is, what they don't explain is any kind of spray, anything that goes on a plant, first goes into the soil where you get all the nutrients from. So whatever has been sprayed, whether it was before the blossom or after the blossom, is still getting inside the food. The moment it rains, gets into the ground, the roots and things eat up all that stuff and it gets into your food, all right? Certified organic also means that they are not allowed to have bordering properties that do spraying. So they're not allowed to have anything spraying over, all right? Just a few details, but that's, in a very small nutshell, that is sort of what you're getting for being organic, all right? And then, what is local? There's a couple of things that people might want to understand. What is local? Local can be your immediate community. Let's say local for you could be Abbotsford. You want to support the local farmers or producers or produce growers in your local community, right? But you don't grow apples here. Or there's a couple small places, but technically they come from the Okanagan, right? So what is local? Local would technically be, if you want to move away from a border line or a city border or anything like that, it's really what grows in your area. What grows in a sense, your hemisphere, or what grows in your climate, right? Lerina has some pretty amazing insight to this. If you really think about it, God would not have put me up in northern Canada and think, oh, poor guy, he's there up there, he's never going to see a pineapple, he's never going to see a banana, right? He's not going to have all that nice fruit and tropical fruit stuff. He's at a bad state in life, right? Well, it doesn't really make sense. God would put in the area of the planet where you live what you need to live, right? For example, here, during the summertime, we have more of our water-based stuff, water-based vegetables and fruits, right? In the wintertime, you have more of your drier things, your root-type plants, the potatoes and stuff, because that's what we need during this time of the season. In the summer months, you need more water-based stuff. God knew what he was doing when he put the certain fruits and vegetables and foods in that geographical area. So if you don't have access to bananas, you're not going to die. You're not going to go depleted because God knows in this geographical area, the local area, what you need to live here. Does that make sense?
Interesting, yeah.
All right. So that's just a little thing about local. The downside about not being local is how far does your food travel? I'm just going to give you one example. Lerina's going to talk a little bit about it. Is bananas. Anybody here eat bananas? Like bananas? All right. Your bananas probably don't come anywhere closer than California. They probably come even farther than that. Okay. What I'm going to tell you now is not unknown. It is the Dole. Who knows Dole? Dole companies? Okay. Anyways, you can go look online and look at all of that kind of thing. But they transport from there to here, and they do the whole. Can I talk about that? Okay, you can talk about that later. Okay, sorry, put that one on hold. Cliffhanger. What I would like to just mention to you is, what is true value of food? Everybody says organic is expensive, right? Has anybody heard that term at all? Yeah. Living organic is expensive. All right, so I want to give you a little bit of a rundown, a little bit of a perspective of what the cost and value of food really is, okay? Just to give you an idea, if we look at Local Harvest, which is a place in Chilliwack, what I just mentioned, they grow all amazing produce. Let's say they're going to give you a bunch of carrots, all right? I don't really know how to draw a carrot. It's more like an upside-down popsicle. But anyways, we got a carrot, all right? So they're going to pick out a bunch of carrots for you. So these are naturally grown, organically grown. You've got a carrot, a bunch of them. What did it cost them to grow that bunch of carrots for you? All right? So let's say, just to break it right down, one bunch of carrots, they go pick it up. It probably cost them, labor-wise, 2 to more hours, all right, just to get that ground prepared, let it grow, whatever they need to do to take care of it, picking it, cleaning it, processing it, packaging it, and putting it on the shelf. If they're paying their people $15 an hour for labor, you're looking at a $30 bunch of carrots, right? That is a true value if I had to go and pay for them from somebody else. Now we understand a farmer can have a huge field and put in a huge amount of carrots, For example, Local Harvest, they can feed probably about 1,000 people out of their farm, easily, with a myriad of produce, okay? But it does take labor, and it does take cost, and it does take electricity, and it does take whatever their building costs and their fees and whatever they've got to go into that, all right? So when we look at true value of food, we got to look at what does it really cost to grow something, all right? When you go to mass production and you go to, let's say, genetically modified or conventional means where they use pesticides and herbicides, because this guy might end up maybe having half a crop die on him because he's got a pest or something that he didn't catch in time naturally, and it maybe took over a couple things, all right? But in what they call conventional, they won't have that problem. Therefore, they're going to get in a sense, a guaranteed size yield. And because they're getting this guaranteed size yield, their labor is lower because they're using all sorts of weird equipment to do it, their prices now come down, right? But what is the real cost of such produce? Because they're not refeeding their soil, which these guys will do on a regular basis with other natural crops that they will grow instead of growing their carrots. They will let it sit dormant with this. So they're not actually able to use the same field over and over and over and over continuously. So what you're getting here for these guys would be an example of a real carrot with real vitamins, with real good nutrients and things in it, right? Which tastes a whole lot better. But over here, you're getting something that has probably got only half the nutrients in it, and aesthetically looks perfect. Natural carrots don't look perfect, right? So now you're paying for all of their marketing as well. So half of the money that you're paying is actually going to pay their bills and their marketing, where these guys don't have that kind of stuff. So what is the true value of the food that we're buying? In the sense of, what are you getting in return for what you're paying for? And what is the cost that you're really paying in the way of your health and your family's health? Is that important to us, right? All of a sudden, this bag of carrots doesn't look too bad for me anymore because I realize the value that I'm actually getting out of that. All right, so that's just a little bit, there's a lot more a person can say about the value of food, but it's just something to start considering when you're looking at the value and the cost of foods. All right, and then natural versus natural. You get natural food, and then you get labeled natural foods, right? There are two completely different definitions there. For example, in Kit Kats, they will have all natural ingredients or contains natural ingredients. Well, those natural ingredients will be natural colors that might come out of the butt of a beetle, all right, which a human being is not supposed to be eating in the first place, but they use that to create color or to create a flavor, all right? So yeah, you could call that natural, but if they defined what that source was, you would never eat it, all right? If they ever talk about natural colors, they're not talking about natural colors in the sense that we would understand, like beet would have a natural color to it. The natural colors they're talking about have numbers and letters, and they are chemically designed, but they might be using natural something, doing weird stuff with it to create a color so that you would like to buy it. All right? So there's a difference between natural and natural. And this is the thing that labeling doesn't tell you. Because they're allowed to say it is natural because by rights it is. But it's not something that you would naturally eat, nor would it be naturally good for you. All right. So anyways, I just thought I'd lay the foundation and answer a couple of the definitions that are going to be spoken of so you don't have to worry about what they are. Is there any questions about what I just said? Great. Then I've done a good job. Any questions down here?
Any questions?
Nope, you're good? All right. All right, then I'm going to let things go over to my wife here. And she's going to entertain you and educate you and inspire you. Sorry, I'm throwing my mic all over the way while I'm talking. And later on, we're going to have some nice goodies, and they're all edible. There's no natural, over here, ingredients.
That's sweet.
Some of them
Oh
are...
no, it's not sweet. It's awful. Before I start, I would like to pray for my sake. God, I acknowledge who you are, and I am standing here today because of you. Thank you for these people who have come out and is seeking a better way. I pray that when I converse today, Holy Spirit, that you would lead my words and that I would really carry the spirit of what is being said. I pray for an understanding in the people's hearts. I pray for my ears that I would understand and hear what they are asking. And Holy Spirit, I just invite your presence here. And I declare that this is no self-help that we are trying to do, but we are asking you to help us. This is clearly something that you brought along our way. So help us to walk that through, because only by faith can we do this. Amen. I am by no means a star of any kind. I'm a homemaker. And as my journey grew, I happened to come across these things. And it has truly transformed our lives. And every time I have conversation with people, I realize how little people know. I realize how ignorant people are. And I get such a... Did you have to...
I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Can you please put your mic onto your... hanging like that? It's making a rattling noise.
Is it going to look funky? Hey, I'm not here to pretend for anything.
Over the top.
Like that?
If that works. That's good.
If that works for you guys. Okay, so I'm not pretending that I know a whole lot. I'm not registered in anything. I haven't gone and studied anything. Everything that I've done, I've just learned myself. English is not my first language, so if I use the wrong tense, please forgive me. Sometimes I feel like Moses, like, Lord, I can't speak. And especially when I get excited, I go faster and faster and I say the wrong stuff. This is the best thing that anybody can do for themselves when it comes to food, is educate yourself. Evening, and I am just cautioning you not to get too much into this, because there is so much stuff, and the one contradicts the other one. Learn enough what you need to know and then move on. Like once you've figured out what's the good thing, just stick with the good things. We do not need to know all of the bad stuff. Does that make sense? Okay, let me follow my notes. I want to applaud everyone that came out here today, because I realized this is people who wants to learn another way. This is big time change. I can tell you, the year when I did a no junk food for 1 year, I was so confronted with my own culture and not having a birthday cake on my birthday. It changes you. It changes, but the change is so rewarding. This is one of the best things we have ever done. So I applaud you. Well done for coming out here today. What I will be sharing today, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm sharing with you what is working for us. There are multiple ways of doing probably the same thing. I might be saying things today that you don't agree with, and that is okay. You might be saying stuff that I don't agree with, and that is okay. And I believe, going from glory to glory, that is truly what the Lord reveals to you, and you walk that out for your family. So don't point fingers at other people, and don't feel condemned when other people say, I do this and you don't do that. This is your individual story. And then the other thing is this, believe it or not, this is faith in action. This is a walk of faith, because you could very easily be overwhelmed and food can become an idol. Do not go there. This is just a natural, God has created for us things to eat. He is so wise. He knows what heals the body. So pray and eat your food and live a good life. Okay, so I will show you this. I have created a handout for you. And this was so Holy Spirit inspired. I was sitting at the house when Colin and I started talking about food and ignorance and what people should know and what I can share. I'm like, because it goes beyond organic. And this is a big shocker for people. People think I should just start buying organic stuff. It goes way beyond organic. It goes to the plastics that you have in your home, the water that you drink. It is so much bigger than just buying organic produce. So I thought, how am I going to do this? So I sat down, I prayed, I sat on the couch, and it just came to me. So this is what you're going to get today. I'll give each of you a handout. What this is, I call it From Glory to Glory. Colin and I had to come up with all kinds of titles. I'm like, Glory 1, Level 1, Grade 1. I'm like, no, what about fruit and milk? And I'm like, oh, is this really necessary? Because, you know, the scripture that says that when we were born, we were babes in Christ, having milk, and then you grow to the meat. This is exactly what a food journey is like. I don't know where all of you are at, but I'm sure there's some babes here in the food journey, and that's so okay. Point is to give the first step and go, okay, today I'm taking milk. One day you will have meat. I am by the meat now, and it is good, but I needed the milk first before I got to the meat. So, how did I design this? You will see on your handout, it's going to read Glory from Glory to Glory, because this is really a transforming process. As you get more information, you will gradually see how you just change. The first thing when I talk about health, people say, oh, organic is so expensive, I can't afford it. And I have to hold my tongue and say to people, you can't afford not to. But I also realized I grew into that. I came to the place where I learned what was in my food. I realized I can't afford not to. And I made other adjustments in my life. I would rather not spend money on other things so that I can buy this. So I can't just tell people, well, you can't afford not to. I grew into that. And you will grow into that too, if you're not there already. So, growing from glory to glory. I have an A, a B, a C, a D. Group A is the milk, and then we're going to go to some basics and some solids and some meat. So this is a piece of paper that you can keep with you if you want to. I mean, I'm not saying this is the answer. I'm just saying this is a way to try and communicate what I know. This is a piece that you can keep with you. And we're going to go through each of these categories, but we will start with Group A. And you can just pick one category and say, I'm just going to start with one item. For example, one of the things in category A is cook all of your own meals. I mean, that sounds so simple. Like, really, I want to come and learn what organic is and GMO and all of that. Just cooking your own food would change your life. Not even organic, just cook your own food and don't eat other stuff because you have so much control. So if that is just the first thing that you start with, I can guarantee you that in itself is a journey, because having to learn to cook everything from scratch takes a while. Okay, so I'm going to hand this out. Please, may I ask you, do not read ahead, because it is distracting to me when I go, people go there and I should not really be reading that already, and then my mind is not on what I'm doing, and you're going to miss out hearing what I'm saying. Do you have something to... Yes, please, that would be lovely. So, do not read ahead. Please. You will see the handout that you have. I had a helper. The helper accidentally printed the wrong copy. Yours is actually supposed to look like this, nice and clean, like A, B, C, D, like very simple. You got the expanded version, which makes it look very complicated. But if you want a plain copy like this, it's exactly the same. Just some of the extra notes that I thought I would mention, but I'll get there. Okay, please do not read ahead. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each of these categories, because I realize a lot of you have questions from the other night, or just whatever questions you might have. I want to give some time for you guys just to ask questions for your particular situation or something that you might want to know. So I'm going to go through these. as brief and as condensed at the same time as I can. And I ask that you just hold off on your question after each section, and I will give questions and answers and we can discuss that. Okay, I will just give a quick glimpse of this. The first section is just your A, B, C, and D. On the second page, I'll cover what resources, like where do I buy stuff and where can you guys buy stuff. And then on the next page, it's called the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. I will get to that, don't read it. And then the last page is GMO grown in Canada. And that's just for your own information. Okay, let's start. Okay, is everybody good? Any questions? We're good to go? Okay. So what are we going to look at in this first section in Group A? I thought after my session on Tuesday evening, and I realized, man, there is so much information. Where does a person start this journey? I thought, well, what would I have done if on Tuesday I attended that, and then they announced, oh, there's going to be this thing on Saturday, and let's say I didn't know anything about that. What would I have wanted to come and learn on Saturday? And that was kind of the premise that I took. What is the basics, like where can a person start? So in Group A, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I thought, well, let's start with the basics of the basics, because I realized when it gets to organic, not every person's budget, I can spend 600 or 200 or however much money on it. So I thought, we're going to just take one thing at a time and you just work and improve on that. If it takes you a year, if it takes you 10 years, it doesn't matter. You are making progress and that is what counts. So when we're going to go through A, you're going to see it's very basic stuff and you can really pick anyone and go, you know what? I want to just start with this one. This is the one that I'm going to focus on and I'm going to ask the Lord, help me God to make this happen in my life. Does that make sense? Okay, so starting in Group A, the very first point, it says Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. This is a place, if you feel you cannot afford any organic food right now, like it is just very expensive, if you turn to the, it reads Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. This is a very helpful guide. So what this means is if you look at the Clean 15, it says there, on a budget, choose these conventionally. That means if you have a very limited budget, these things like onions and sweet corn and pineapple, they are okay to buy non-organically because they're not sprayed as heavily. On the other side, if you see the Dirty Dozen that says apples, celery and strawberries, as far as you can, try and buy these things organically because they are the most sprayed. So when you go to town and you go, man, I only have so much money and now I have to buy everything organic. No, just look at this list and go, am I buying apples today? Yes, I am. It is on the Dirty Dozen list, so make sure you buy organic apples. It says Clean 15. Do I need to buy onions today? Yes, I do, but guess what? It's not sprayed as heavily, so I can skip the organic one today and I can take a conventional one. So I used this when I started out. I had a little list. And I'm like, okay, what can I buy organic and what can't I buy organic? So even in this way, you will get the least amount of pesticides and things in. Do you see how easy it is? Yeah. You know, this is just a first step to start. Okay, second one. So now remember, I'm not saying go home and do everything in A. I'm saying you're going to pick one. Until you have that down packed, then you move on to the other one. So if it takes you 4 months to get the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen under the belt, good for you. Then you move on to another one. Then you can pick, let me just say, these are not in chronological order or order of priority. I didn't say do this one first and then this one and that one. It is a matter of picking the one that you feel you want to start with. I realize some of you might already have these things in your home, and that's okay. So I just needed to start from the very, very basic level. Second one is organic dairy products. The reason why, if you don't buy anything organic, and you want to go, okay, I want to start buying organic, start by switching out your dairy products first. Because a lot of the animals that eat GMO food and all kinds of toxins and stuff, it ends up in their fat. That is where toxins are really stored. Even in our bodies, it is stored in the fat, which is what milk and cheese and cream is made out of. So when you eat dairy products, eat like this is a block of cheese. this would have the most concentration of toxins in it. So if you're going to go into an organic journey and change your food, start by switching out your dairy products first, because you would eliminate a whole bunch of toxins out of your diet just straight away. The second one is homemade snacks instead of store-bought. Again, this sounds like a very simple one, but if you pick that one, you would just, this is what it's going to look like. You're just going to say, you know what, from now on, I'm not going to buy chips and cookies and crackers and cake. I'm going to make everything. And it does two things. One, buying organic things like that is very expensive. I agree with you. Apple for apple, organic is expensive. But you have to look at the whole picture before you say to me organic is expensive, because there's a whole bunch of other factors that play a role in that. But yes, apple for apple, those things are very expensive. So one, by starting to make your own stuff, you will save money. And I'm not talking about going out and buying organic stuff and making it. I'm just saying, just stop buying your homemade goods and snacks and stuff and just make your own stuff. That's all. Just start learning to make. People go, wow, that seems like such a basic thing. I tell you, I was there. It takes time to get recipes, to adjust your cooking and baking methods. It takes time to grow into that. I do feel I want to mention, Colin spoke a lot about GMO and herbicides and pesticides. For you want to know herbicides and pesticides, just a sideline. Herbicide basically kills all weeds and stuff, and pesticides kill any pest, whether it be mice or weeds or things like that, just if you wanted to know what the difference is. I am not going to go so much into all the details about the bad stuff and the good stuff and how it works and why you should do this or that way, because I realized as I was growing in this journey, it was part of my discovering of these things that changed my mindset. So if I'm just going to tell you, change this, and you're just going to change it, you won't really change. You might do the right thing, but it won't really change you. So part of it is, that is part of the reason I'm not going to go, apart from the fact I have limited time, I'm not going to go too much in depth about everything, but if you have a specific question, I'll answer that. Not that I know all the answers, but go and read enough for yourself to go, okay, this is bad, and I'm willing to change my ways and find an alternative. You could pick number 4, which is use raw, unpasteurized local honey or maple syrup instead of sugar. Now this is as simple as saying, okay, from this day forward, I am not using sugar anymore. I'm not talking about sugar is everywhere. It's in bread, it's in ketchup, it's in crackers. Won't be surprised if it's in your shampoo. It's not, but anyway, that's the extent. It's in everything. So I'm not talking about going to my ketchup and go, oh, this is sugar, this is sugar, this is sugar. I'm just saying, stop buying sugar and stop baking with sugar and stop cooking with sugar. So you have to learn to use honey or maple syrup or molasses or any, like you can use prunes. Like, there's so many options a person can use for just a natural sweetener. This one in itself is a good journey to walk out. To start to use honey or maple syrup or anything instead of sugar. But it will reap very good rewards. Now talking about honey, I can't remember, where did I put that little thing of honey? Do you know? I had, it might not be there in the back. Oh, you know, it might actually be right here. Somewhere. Anyway. When it comes to honey, because this is another thing, when you go to the grocery store, let me just put it this way. I used to shop, I used to go to Save on Foods, push my little buggy, and I would buy everything there. Right now, I shop at 6 different stores to get my food, because they all have different things, because I can't get everything at Save on Foods because they don't cater for me. That's okay, Scott, you don't have to worry about it. They don't cater for what I need. So, but you will see, you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to go, okay, that's what Lerina said, let's go buy honey. And you go there and you're going to stand in front of yourself and you're going to go, honey, 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 honey. I have been there so many times and I have no idea what to buy. You don't know. And everybody is saying something on their bottle. I'm like, I don't know what to buy. It's so overwhelming. So this is what you want to buy in your honey. It needs to be raw, unpasteurized honey. Basically what that means is your honey has not been heated. So any moment they use heat to it, it destroys the very natural enzymes in honey that's supposed to cause healing to your body. So if you see all of those honeys, look for the one that says raw, or it would say unpasteurized honey. That's the best honey that you can buy for yourself. If you want to go a step further than that, buy your honey in glass bottles. But that will come at another point. But buy raw, unpasteurized honey. Now you do get it. You don't have to go to a specialty store, but you do get it in Save on Foods and Safeway, wherever you shop. I know you guys have a terrific place here in Abbotsford. It's called Campbell Honeys. And it's funny, the other day when we went to Goat's Pride, Pastor Michael went with us, and I purposely asked the lady certain questions, because when you start buying your food differently, this is your friend. When I shop, I load those people with questions. I ask them, this is how I would do it. I would ask them, where do you put your beehives? Is it near any fields that have any contamination? What is the cleanest honey? And I usually say this. I say, don't mind the price. I don't care how much it costs. Tell me what is the cleanest, purest honey that you sell. Let me decide if I can afford that. Because the moment you just tell them you want honey, they just want to, well, we have this or this or this or this. I just tell them, give me the purest, cleanest, most unadulterated product that you have. And then I'll go straight to, well, it would be this one. Like, okay, I can decide. But the reason I can do that is because I'm educated on this topic, and I don't rely on the person to educate me. I have enough information that when I go, I know. Like, here's a good example. Yesterday we went to another store, and I wanted to buy some toothpaste. This is the toothpaste that we use. It is made out of clay, literally clay and salt. It's made out of clay, yeah. And this toothpaste comes in different flavors. Now, I know they specifically has one that doesn't have any sweetener in it. Now, I want the one that doesn't have any sweetener in it. Even though the sweetener, like this one has a sweetener because they didn't have the other one. Xylitol. And she says, I ask her, do you have any that doesn't have any sweetener in it? She says, no, but xylitol is a natural product. Well, if they make a statement like that, tell them, tell me more, because that's how you learn. Because they will tell you. She says, well, and I say that, well, tell me more. She says, well, xylitol comes from a hardwood tree. And I say, do you know which tree? No. I ask her, do you know how it's processed? Not 100% sure. That's when I decide, you know what? I can't rely on you to feed me. I'm going to stick to my unsweetened toothpaste until I can figure out for myself, is xylitol good enough for me to use? But as a general rule of thumb, I just don't buy it until I have enough information on the topic. So that's just what it is. When you go and shop, ask questions. Ask them where they get their honey from. Another good thing with honey is ask for wildflower honey, because that's another thing. You're going to stand in front of the honey. There are going to be a gazillion names for where the honey comes from. Wildflower is a good choice because they would actually take the beehives up to a higher area, or kind of like mountainy areas, which is not surrounded by all the planting fields. So it's just naturally a more cleaner honey. Because the thing is, bees don't know what's organic fields and what's not when they pollinate. They can't go, oh, organic field, oh, go this way or go that way. They just go. So you have to know your stuff. Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay, good. Yes.
Just talk loud.
Talk loud. Okay. Interesting thing about honey, if you can, it's actually really wise for your health's sake to buy honey that is raised in your local area as close to home as possible. The reason for that is that you're getting the nutrients from the local pollen, and it usually aids your system in becoming immune to the local pollens, and for allergies and stuff, it helps your system overcome that. So your body is designed to fight against those things. But if I'm getting my honey, again, non-local, imported from wherever, it doesn't help me with my local issues, right? So it's a very good thing that is another good reason why just to start thinking local, because there's a lot of benefits nutritionally that even though it's honey from another place, isn't going to aid you as much as it would right here. Does that make sense?
Would you go to a health food shop for it then?
You don't necessarily have to. You will get to know the brands that is good. a good quality brand of honey to buy. Not quality, but actually where the honey comes from. But it's good to go to a health food store because you can learn from them. We had a terrific health food store up in Fort St. John, and I had my book, and I couldn't even pronounce some of the things, and I asked the guy, do you sell this? And he educated me so much. He was a wonderful Christian man, and he educated me so much about these things. So it's a good place to learn, and you don't have to go there. Like, I do buy my honey at a specific place, but if I can't, I know which brand. There's only one brand I will buy at Save On Foods because I've come to know the ins and outs. So it takes me quite a while to do grocery shopping. I don't go in and go, bloop, 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 bloop. I go in, this is what I do, and I go. No. Natural. If it says natural, I forget it. Like, I just know how to read stuff. Like, look for the ones on the bottom of the shelves or very high up, the stuff that they don't want to sell you because it's not eye level. Just be savvy. Okay, the other thing you can use is maple syrup. Number 3, dark maple syrup is the one that we use. I just use either maple syrup or honey straight for sugar. When I bake, nobody taught me this. I figured I'm just going to have to figure it out. So it calls for a cup of sugar. I use a cup of honey. I do know that honey is sweeter than sugar, so you probably do not need to use a cup of that, and sometimes I don't. But that's what I do. People ask me, well, do you have any issues with the measurements? Has it changed stuff like liquid? I'm like, I don't know. It just works. So just do it. Figure it out. Okay, the fourth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth one. Cook all of your own meals. Multiple reasons. It saves money. It does not have to be organic. It doesn't have to be organic, but just the fact if you were to start cooking all of your own meals, you know what you've put in there. That is a mind relief like you won't believe. Example, bread. Who here has ever baked a loaf of bread? That's terrific. Who knows how many ingredients is in a loaf of bread? About 4. When you go to the store, you can count about 12 or 16. I'm like, it's flour, water, salt, and honey, really, yeast if you want. That's it. But that's what you get when you cook your own food. You know what's in there. So, yes, that's the other one. If you cook your own stuff, you will avoid buying canned foods because canned foods has a lining on the inside, which is called BBA. Very toxic for you. I'm not going to explain what it is, but you can go and read it up. The lining inside the food, petroleum-based and stuff like that. But I don't buy baked beans. I make our own beans. Does it take longer? Yes. Am I willing to pay that price? Yes. Does it come at a cost? Yes, but I'm willing to do those things. But I've undergone a mindset change, right? So I'm willing to pay that price. But it's all kinds of things like that. They don't promote on their can. This is a good health benefit. BPA sold in our cans. Nobody says that to you. You won't see that. They don't even have to warn you about that. As I went along, and this is why food makes me angry, or the law, or whatever it is, I would stumble across this and I'm like, oh, they're allowed to do that, and they are allowed to do that. And I'm like, why don't they tell us to do that? Even, and I will mention that a little bit, or maybe I'll mention it at that point. Stick on the topic. When you start cooking your own meals, start slowly. Just get 1 recipe a week. Did you know that the average person cooks the same meals, the same 9 meals over and over and over? You do not need to have 20 or 30 or 40 recipes. So think about this. If you start with, say, this week, my sole aim is to get 1 good recipe that I can cook at home. So this week you get 1, next one. By the end of the month, you would have 4. So go 3 more weeks. Then you would have a whole week worth of home-cooked meals, and you just keep repeating that until you get another one. I mean, if somebody says, oh, the food is so repetitive, I said to Colin the other day, Israelites ate manna for 40 years. You will not die. Just bear with everybody who's in this process of change. I thank the Lord that I'm a very gracious husband. Sometimes stuff didn't come out right. But sometimes we had soup for 3 days. But you know what? I'm doing the best what I can with what I have. Be gracious to yourself. Be gracious to the people around you. And plan ahead. Cooking your own food does take time. If I want to soak beans, I usually have to do it the night before, or I can speed up a little bit during the day, just put it in a pot, let it simmer in water. But it does take more time. It's not a quick thing. Some of it is quick, some I can just do in 20 minutes and we have a great meal. But planning ahead is the key. Also, I'll mention this a little bit later, we do not use a microwave, which I'll talk about later, but the reason is, if I don't use a microwave and I need to defrost anything, I need to think ahead. What am I going to make? And I need to take it out so it has time to properly defrost, and I don't just pop it in the microwave and destroy everything that's in there. Okay, the last point. Learn to read labels so that you can avoid it in the products. General rule of thumb, if you can't pronounce it, if you don't know what it is, don't eat it. Because, you know, it's so common, it's really common sense to me. The ingredient in apple is apple. Ingredient in Kit Kat is this and that and that and that and that and that and that. So really, just imagine this. If you had a plate of food like this, and let's say this was a Kit Kat, and let's pretend this is your food. Let's make a pretty plate. With some flowers. Okay, this is your plate. And if we had to break down a Kit Kat in the actual... Okay, so let's pretend for a second we're first going to eat fruit and vegetables. So this is an apple, this is an egg, and we will have a carrot. Okay, so this is a pretty self-explanatory meal. You know exactly what's in there. But if you're going to eat a Kit Kat and you have to break this down, you're going to see so many... Excuse this. I'm not so very posh with these things. You're going to break down all kinds of laboratory ingredients on here. If you have to break it down, and if you have to pretend that's on your plate, then you have to ask yourself, ew, do I want to eat yellow 440 and tartazine that's cancer causing? It changes the way you look at food. So that's why I say I can't afford not to buy and eat and live this way, because you see what is in the stuff. So familiarize yourself with ingredients. And that's what I do when I grocery shopping, especially if I'm looking for a brand new product and I go like this, bad. Well, I'm not too sure what that is. Usually if I'm not too sure what the thing is, I'll just write it down and go Google it. I must say this too. I did a lot of this in the beginning. This is why this is group A. I am in group D right now. This is where we are at. I did a lot of this in group A where I learned labels. And I think it's a necessary thing just in the beginning so that you can see what is in food. But after a while, I don't do that a whole lot anymore. I don't really go read everything and see what's in there because I pretty know much what I buy. I keep my food very simple, very clean. Only the odd time when I go to a new product and I have to see and I go, I'm not so sure about this. And then and usually, this is usually what happens for me. If there's an ingredient and I don't know what it is, I just decide on the spot not to buy it and I don't even go and look what it is. I don't inform myself about it because I don't know just by nature what it is. I don't even want to eat it. Even if it is good and it's... Because this is the problem. Xylitol, what I explained in the toothpaste, might be an original natural product from a hardwood tree. The problem is I don't know how they harvest it. I don't know how they process it to get it in a xylitol form, and I don't know how that reacts to my body. So it's a natural ingredient. I have no idea what it does to my body. Apple is an apple, right? If you can stick to God's foods, you're very good. Okay, is there any questions about anything that I've just... Group A. Oh, maybe yes.
For the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, I don't see carrots on here, and I'm wondering about carrots.
If I don't see it on there and I had to make a judgment call, I would probably buy organic carrots for this reason. Well, maybe two reasons. Because they spray stuff, it would seep into the ground. It is a root vegetable, so that means it probably sucks up everything that is in the ground, so it will be right in the very root that it is. You would have a good idea when you look at that list. You would see the items that's on the Dirty Dozen. it's the stuff that is usually sprayed on the skins, the peels itself that you would indigest. So it makes sense to me if I think about a carrot, they would spray it, it would seep into the ground, it would suck it up in the roots because that's where it gets its nutrients from. So it would pull it right into the carrot. So I would, if I can, I would probably go for that one, an organic version. Yeah. On that topic, if you don't buy organic produce, if you can't, I have this little thingy at the house that I use. And this is like a scrubber. I got this from Norwex. Those of you know it. I don't sell Norwex. It's a little scrubber, and just give your stuff a good clean and a good scrub. I scrub everything super clean. Like, scrub it good because you do scrape off some of the things. No, it doesn't. It's not the ultimate answer because it still gets into the fruit, but at least you eliminate some of the stuff that just rests on the peel. And it's so sad because people go, well, just peel it. Well, unfortunately, there's so many good things in the peel. The peel helps digest and break down a lot of things in your body too. So now we peel it, so now we throw away part of the food that's actually so necessary. If it is really bad, I will peel it. I do. That's why I say, do what works for you. If you go, this is probably really bad, peel it. But yeah, scrub it like this. You get sprays that you can wash fruit and vegetables. I would say this, don't go and buy all organic because it is expensive and there's companies that wants to make money and they make products that people want to buy. Make your own fruit and veggie wash. You can use vinegar or a baking soda rinse. Just quickly rinse it in water. It does the trick. You go and Google a good recipe. Generally, I just use that because we buy most of our stuff organic. But it's out there. Any other questions? Yes.
What's the difference between number 3 dark maple syrup and say another maple syrup kind?
I'll let my husband answer that for you. He seems to be pretty passionate about maple syrup because he would drink it out of our bottle. He's like, oh, seriously. I'm like, don't do that. People are going to eat here. Yeah.
You just broke something.
Did I just break
No,
it?
there it is. Good question about maple syrup. You get 3 types of maple syrup, 1, 2, 3, or what they call a dark, medium, and amber, I think it is, or light, amber, and dark. The reason we use number 3, or first of all, the difference is, for what I've learned, is it's actually different harvests that they have for maple syrup. So it's an early, a mid, and a late season harvest. Sometimes they also refer to it, depends on how concentrated they might make it, all right? Meaning they will remove more of the water content, so you'll get a more concentrated one. But the significant difference is in the dark one, number 3 maple syrup, it has the most enzymes in it. So it is actually the most nutritious one for you. You'll know, for anybody that has ever done detoxing or cleansing, that they will usually recommend a number 3 maple syrup as something that you will consume during that time because it helps cleanse, but it has the most nutrients. We did a detox once just to see how it goes, and by just drinking that or using that in our meals or in our juicing and stuff, that you don't even get the cravings and stuff because your body's actually getting all the nutrients that it needs, or a lot of the nutrients. So number 3 is actually the healthier option. It has more enzymes in it and also does more cleansing for you. And it's just plain a whole lot better tasting. If you had to taste the difference, number 3, you'll never go back to number 2 or 1.
You had a question.
Do you know if the Campbells in Abbotsford, if they have their bees on site? Like, is it local here or is it in the Okanagan or something?
They do a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think they put their clover bees and... Is this good? I think they put their clover bees and their wildflowers somewhere else. I'm not 100% sure because it's been a while since I've been to them. But I know that a lot of them are here, and the Fraser Valley is actually one of the places that gets the most spray. Like, it's just bad here. I would say if you go to them, ask them all these questions. It's so informative. Go say, what is your cleanest honey that you have? Where do you put it? Does it get close to contaminated fields? Just ask them. Because by asking, this is something we have to remember. By asking people that, they go, oh, people want better food. When we go to a restaurant, I ask people, do you have anything organic? And I know they're going to say no. But what am I doing? I'm communicating a message. I'm saying, I want organic food. Because they want to feed the masses, right? Yes.
And also, in case anyone wants, I know a few beekeepers,
Mm-hmm.
so if anyone wants access to the
Oh.
local honey.
I might
Yeah.
want some. Yes. Yeah, I just have a question.
Just a couple comments. Bees do travel up to 2 kilometers, so to try to stay away from
Yeah.
non-organic farming within 2 kilometers. The carrots is one of the worst things that you can eat if it's not organic, because it does take, it leaches, it pulls all of the toxins out of the soil. So they actually use carrots to clean up ground so that they can organically farm earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
See?
they sell us those.
That's how we live. Yes.
You know how you can buy those little baby carrots?
Yeah.
Organic? Well, they put them in chloride and everything.
Yes, I know.
It's the worst thing for you.
This is how I live. I first look for foods that is in its most original state. Baby carrots is not an original state. How do they all get them like that? I want a carrot that has dirt on it, that's kind of crooked. That's what I want. So find it in its most original state. And then if I can't, I will compromise if I have to for something else. Cheers.
I threw a couple of carrots to my rabbit. He didn't want to eat it.
Oh. I know, and I've heard other stories like that where animals would stay away from certain foods. Yes.
I just wondered where Campbell's is located.
I can't remember. Okay, somebody here will be able to help you.
Yeah, we can Google it for you, Donna.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had a question?
Okay.
Going back to the maple syrup.
Yes.
You've got there use raw and pasteurized local honey. Does that need to be like organic, or is it just maple syrup because it comes from the tree anyways and?
They do have
Organic. That has to be organic, yes. But in the beginning, if you can find organic, like I say, just start buying maple syrup and bake with that. Later, when you can afford and go, okay, I'm ready to take the next step, then do it. At least you're getting away from sugar.
Right.
I would rather let you use non-organic maple syrup than let you use sugar. Seriously. You had something to say? That's okay.
The thing about, also just a little thing about honey is if you're an animal lover and you appreciate God's creation, that majority of the time when bees go into a pesticide-ridden area, they don't come back. They actually die because of the pesticides that might be on the plants. So you've heard lately that there's been a bee shortage. It's because we're killing them.
Oh, it's so sad.
Because now they're flying into these fields where there's pesticides and they won't make it back to the hive. So we're killing our own bees. And if they do make it back, they're putting it in the honey. All right, just a bit of a side note.
Okay, thank you.
You had one more thing, you said learn how to soak beans. Is there a special?
Yeah, I said learn how to soak beans because I didn't know how. Nobody was teaching me, and and I thought it's so complicated because beans oftentimes come in cans. A lot of people buy it, and it's to avoid the cans that I actually suggested learn to soak the beans. So that's only for that reason. Okay, we're good? Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Don't go on to B and C and D. This is a very basic list. Anybody can start here, and you just pick one item. Go, which one do I feel I can just start with? And maybe your thing is you just want to start reading labels. Eat your conventional fruit and vegetables. Eat your sugar, and start there. So just pick one and go, this is the one I think I can take on. And spend as much time until you feel saturated, you have enough knowledge, and your mind has been renewed on that topic. Okay, let's move on to some solids. I would suggest, coming back to group A, after you have done one, you can check it off. You can see it's like a little checkbook. You go, check. I think I've got this under the belt. Pick another one in that area. So then you can see, okay, maybe I think I can do this one. Check it off and work with that. And you can finish all of the ones in group A, and then you can move on to group B. I think this is just a very systematic, if you want to put it that way, organic process to move you from there to group D. It'll just help you because there's some things that's harder to do than others. But I found these ones was easy for me to get into and just basics to get into. I mean, it's not really that hard just to switch out. If you just want to start buying non-organic milk, organic milk versus non-organic milk. I mean, that's a small change to make. And little by little do we change, right? It's so much easier to make small changes and go, I'm throwing everything out, I'm buying everything organic, I'm cooking all my... Yeah, I'll send you to a counselor after that. Okay, group B. So The first one is by this time, so if you've completed everything in Group A, you got all of those things done in Group A, you want to move on to Group B and you can pick one of these. By now, you want to buy everything organic. So first you just did the dirty dozen and you did your produce and stuff, but by this point, your aim is you want to buy all of your fruit and vegetables and all of your meat organic. Meat is important if it's not grass-fed because they usually feed them grain, which is usually GMO, and what they eat, you will eat. So you might go, well, I'm not eating GMO. Yeah, well, if you eat meat and that's what the cow eat, that is what you eat. I mean, I've read so many studies of people who they have found these things inside of them because of the foods that they have been eating. It's plain and simple. You are what you eat. GMO is in a bunch of stuff. I have an insert in the back. You guys can read about GMO. And then herbicides and pesticides. They feed these things to the animals. So you might thinking you're avoiding it, but you are actually eating it. Did you have a question?
Just about the organic meat. You said buy grass-fed meat. What about the grass? Couldn't that be contaminated with
It could be. Generally, I would probably say people who allow their animals to graze naturally has a mindset that they will take care of that because it is easier to do the grain-fed thing. So my common sense says to me, somebody who allows their animals to grass feed, they are willing to take the time and effort to do that, so they probably know the good that is in it. So the chances that they would contaminate their own fields is probably more unlikely, but I would ask them, do you put anything on your grass? It's a very good question though. See, and that's the thing. Ask yourself, where is my food coming from? Who's growing it and what are they putting in there? Okay, the next one. You can decide to phase out dead foods. And by this I mean, so now you've been buying some organic produce, fresh fruit and produce, and dairy products and meat. The next thing you want to do is you want to phase out dead food. So you go into your ketchup cupboard and you go, oh, this has nothing living in it. This is the last bottle that we will eat of this, and you dump that bottle. But now you have three choices. Either you buy organic ketchup, or you make your own ketchup, or you just choose to live without it. So even that point took me a while to phase out everything, because it's such a journey to learn something new. Crackers, cookies. I'm like, okay, this is dead food. And by dead food, I mean there's nothing feeding you. Like a Kit Kat doesn't have anything that would go, like think about it, our bodies are so amazing. It heals itself. If there's a cut, it knows what it needs to heal it. But if I eat stuff that has been irradiated, it's just toxic to my body. I don't have any little cells or little thingies that would go and say, okay, heal this, heal this, heal this. There's nothing there. My body is constantly saying, food, I need something to heal that. But if you don't give it something, it can't heal itself. So food truly is our medicine, and our medicine truly is our food. I said to my husband, when we're going to have our own place, I'm going to paint that in my kitchen. Because I eat my medicine and my medicine is my food. It's just a constant state of health. I don't even like to say, people ask me, so are you into organic? I want to ask, are you into pesticides? I'm not into anything. This is just normal living. Unfortunately, society has changed in such a way that now you're healthy if you eat organic. I'm not healthy, I'm just eating normal food. Okay, so phasing out dead foods is a big thing. This is basically you go into your pantry, not all at once, pick out your ketchup, go, okay, do we keep buying, or are we going to switch over to organic ketchup? I'm going to learn to make my own, or are we just going to learn to live without it? And first fix that area. Once you go, okay, for a while you can get organic ketchup. There is one I know it's made with cane sugar, and then there is one that's made with agave. Agave is another natural sweetener. I used to use it, and then some controversies came out about it. I'm a little bit on the fence about it, and I just decided, you know what? We do have honey, we do have maple syrup. I don't need another sweetener. So right now, I'm just avoiding it altogether until everybody figure out what's going on with agave. So, but you can get it. If that's your next step, even if it is just the one with the agave, use it or make your own. But once you're done with that and you have something, then move on to the next thing. Look at your crackers or whatever. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Buy whole wheat flour. like spelt, kamut, emmer, or einkorn. This is where I will show you how I make bread. Why whole wheat flour? I used to work in a grain mill, Anita's organic mill, and we sell organic flour. I was so surprised. People don't even know what flour is. Genuinely, people don't know where it comes from. Ask people, do you know what flour is? And they do not know. And I'm not saying, oh, I knew. When I came there, they had bins like this. I didn't even know what all this stuff was in all the bins. So I'm working on the floor and people come in and, can I please have some garbanzo beans? I'm like, sure, give me 1 second. Where's the garbanzo beans? Okay. So that's how I learned. I didn't know everything. But I did learn about grain. So this is what a wheat kernel look like. I'm not an artist, so just, it has a little thingy here. And then it has like an outer layer here. Actually, this right here is wheat. This is what flour is this thing right here. This is our flour. But now, this is called, this inside, which is white, is called an endosperm. I'm just going to say endo for short. This is called the bran. And this is the wheat germ. I'm going to say wheat germ. So the history of flour goes back. Can't remember everything. A lot of the things I have forgotten after I've learned it for myself and changed my ways because I thought it's irrelevant for me to keep. Once I know it, I changed my way. So can't always remember things to relate to other people, but I'm working on that. Way back when in history, what they did was people used to take their grain, and there was one miller in town, and he would mill everybody's grain for them, and they would keep a portion. He would keep a portion in terms for payment. But then cities started growing, and as people traveled with their flour, it started rotting and oxidizing. Because just like an apple, you know, when you bite an apple and it starts going brown, exactly the same thing happens with a kernel. This can last for years, like sealed up like this, can last for a long, long time because of the outer bran that's around it that keeps it protected. So, but cities started growing, people had to travel farther and farther, and the things were oxidizing, and they realized, well, they can't eat their flour anymore. I don't know who it was, but somebody figured out a way to remove the bran and remove this and only use this white part. Because in this and in here is where all the oils are. That is what would make things to go rancid. So if you remove that and you remove that, you end up with an endosperm, and the flour stayed well. So people started eating white flour. And now the flour doesn't go bad anymore because they took that out and they took that out. Today, they still take it out and they sell this to the health food stores because all the good stuff is in it. But then people started dying. A lot of people started dying. And the government then made it a mandatory law. To this day, you can go look at your flour. It's mandatory for them to add back 5 B vitamins into your flour. So what does the companies do? They sell it as enriched white flour. They do not care about your health. It is not enriched because they thought we want to promote your health. The government made it mandatory law for them to add 5 synthetic B vitamins back into the white flour. So now I'm like, well, great, it's 5 synthetic B vitamins. Now, it must do something because people are staying alive. But still, I don't know exactly what it's doing. People are staying alive, but people are also ending up with a whole bunch of diseases today that we don't even know of. So this is what white flour is. It's only this part. So whenever you hear whole wheat or whole grain, that's exactly what it is. It is the whole wheat or the whole grain. You want to eat the whole thing because this is where the good stuff, as well as that's not bad, but it's everything together that makes it good. Let me not. Okay, so when you shop for whole wheat flour, don't look for the multi-grain because multi simply mean there's different grains in it. They could have still removed the good stuff, but just they removed the good stuff from 5 different grains that they made this thing from, and now they call it multi-grain. So you have to be savvy about those things. Ask for whole grain or whole wheat. I did put down there spelt, kamut, emmer, or einkorn. These are your oldest wheat varieties, which has been the least unadulterated from all of the wheat grains. I personally use spelt. You can find spelt in the Bible. That's why I use spelt. They say that the einkorn, the emmer, and the kamut are old ones, but I am a Bible girl. If it says spelt is in the Bible, I'm using spelt. Nobody will turn me away from that. So this is what I use. I buy this in grain. I also cook it as rice. We have this in soup because you can cook it just like a rice. But I also buy the ground up version of this. Ideally, you want to grind up your own flour because like I said, the moment you grind it, it starts oxidizing. I'm actually in the process of buying my own grain mill, which I'm really excited about because I feel it's just such a good step forward. But up until now, I haven't been. So I would go to Anita's Organic Mill and I would buy a 20 kilogram bag of spelt flour and I'll keep it in my freezer. If you keep it in your freezer, it does not go rancid. It stays good for a long, long time. It's probably not as nutritious as grinding your own, but I'm not there yet. See, I'm still growing. So that's what you want to do if you want to buy it. So look for those varieties. And when you go into a place like Anita's Organic Mill, say to someone, I've never bought whole grain flour. I want to switch over. Help me. They have so much information. Ask your questions and let them help you. Tell them, I want the most healthy one. Because they're not necessarily healthy. They're also selling a product, right? So you have to tell them what you're looking for. Okay, so I do want to say this. When you start baking with whole wheat flour, that is a switch in itself. I've heard a lot of people say, my husband doesn't want to eat whole wheat. He wants his white bread and fluffy buns. Whole wheat is heavier than white flour. So you'll get a heavier bread. It's not as white and fluffy. So this is what I would recommend to people. Start by just using a quarter cup of whole wheat when you bake. Just a quarter cup. That way they don't really know, but they are slowly and surely getting used to the little nutty flavor. But it's so insignificant, they don't really know. And just little by little, keep adding the whole wheat flour until their taste buds change too, right? It's a process because we've all gotten used to eating certain foods and what it tastes like. So if you just add a little by little, it helps you too to transition over eventually to eating a whole wheat grain. And it's terrific. Once you eat it, I'm not saying I don't like white bread. I still like it. It's good. It tastes good to me. Colin doesn't like it at all, but I don't mind it. I still enjoy it. But I love the bread that we eat right now, and I feel like I'm truly feeding myself. So start slow. And my other point here is educate your family. Do not go home today and go, we are switching flour. And they go, no, Mom, please don't do whole wheat. You go, why shouldn't we? It's healthy. You give healthy a bad rap because what people associate it with is it tastes bad. Because who wants to give up nice white fluffy buns for whole wheat? That's not good. So now they're starting to equate healthy with not tasting good. So don't tell people it is healthy. Inform your family. Educate them with you as you go along. I would leave a book. I would tell Colin, oh, read this article or read that. Like he stayed on par with me. He said himself, oh, I don't want that. It wasn't me telling him we're not having this anymore. Because I cook for him too, right? It's not just for me. And I want to cook food for my family that they enjoy. It's not just about health. We're not into anything. Okay, so I thought I'll show you how to make bread because I couldn't make bread myself. My first bread I made came out this size, this thick. It was heavy as a rock. I never learned how to make bread. My mom never made her own bread, so I had no idea how to do this. I first made just a whole wheat loaf of bread. There is one ingredient in bread that I still have a problem with, and I'm learning how to fix it, and it is a wonderful product. It's this. It's yeast. Problem I have with yeast is I don't know where it comes from, I don't know how it's processed, and I don't know what it's doing to my body, so I don't actually really enjoy using this a whole lot. So I know the alternative answer to yeast is sourdough. Fermenting and growing your own. I have tried twice. Both have molded. I don't know how to do it. So if you grow your own sourdough, please invite me over. I'm going to try again. But so when the first time there's so many good benefits about using the sourdough because it is a slow fermentation, and this is all the things that you will learn when you get into doing it. It digests so much easier on the system. The thing to me is just, where do we get this from? Yeah, but where does it, I can't go, oh, can I pick this? Can I get it out of the ground? It doesn't look natural to me, and I struggle with that. But right now, I don't have another way. I don't want to buy store-bought bread, so I do use this. My first loaf of bread I made called for 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, which a person wouldn't say is that much, so it's good. But in the meantime, I found a bread recipe that used 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. So I switched. So see how little by little? So we still use yeast, but it's just far less. Okay, so this is what I do. This is not the only bread recipe. There's a gazillion out there. This is the one that works for me. Let me say this. I have recipes for you guys.
Yay.
I did not include it because I didn't want you to go and read it. The recipe is in here. This is a very quick bread to make. Quick in the sense of it is not a lot of hands-on time. Maybe I can ask my husband to give me a hand here, and I will play chef for a few seconds. If I can just get you to fill this one and this one up with with warm water, not hot.
Just check.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm going to run through this very quickly. You have the recipe. The reason I'm doing that is just to show you how easy it is. It's not a really complicated recipe, so I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on it. I'm probably not going to follow the recipe because I just know how to do it. So what I do is I use a scale as opposed to cups because your flour is always more accurate, because if you use a cup, you scoop sometimes more, like it gets packed. You don't have to. I'm sure you can get by fine, but I use a scale. So I put on my scale. I just use any bowl, and I just stir it so I can weigh my flour. This
Is the recipe by weight or by cup?
it is by weight,
Okay.
but you can just Google the conversions. So this is the same as this, just ground up. So this is whole wheat or whole spelt flour. So what I do is take that, and the recipe calls for 700 grams. This does make a big loaf of bread like that. When it's just Colin and me, I do make it a smaller one like this too. This is not your traditional conventional bread that is long and skinny. So I just go like this. Oh, not quite like that. And I want to get 700 grams of this in here. 5, 6. So it just warm, not, oh, you're here already. Thank you. Oh, okay, $6.99. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I would go, just to have it 700. Okay, so that's the flour. Once I have it in here, you want to first just make a little mixture in this bowl. So you add 2.5. I told my husband just one, but it should be 2.5. I'll ask him to get me another one. You want to add 2.5 cups of water in there, and then you take your yeast.
Warm.
Yeah, warm water. And you know what, people? Sorry, everyone. Copy. Can you just get me another warm one like this? The first time when I bake bread, it's like use tepid water, lukewarm, not too warm. It'll kill the. I'm like, I don't know what I am doing. Is this tepid? Like, I don't know what that should feel like. So, warm for me right now is just. It doesn't burn. It's not, because the thing that it has to be warm is you don't want to kill this. Apparently this is alive, and if it's too hot, it'll kill it. So just don't use it hot, just warm water. So you want to use just 1/4 teaspoon of this. So I just take one little one like that, put it in like that. Oh, there's my honey. It's terrific. So 2.5 cups of water, warm water, and that's your yeast. And then you want to use 1 teaspoon of honey.
Sweet.
Yes. So I bought this just to show you guys. It's a little store where I actually shop, and all it says on here is local, unpasteurized, good. Did you see there's no advertising? Nobody's trying to sell me something. That's usually a good sign. It just is what it is. Somebody's probably bee farm, and they just package it and just sell it. So I bought this. So you want to get this is crazy. Just 1 scoop of honey, because sweetener feeds the yeast. This is so fast. I do this in about 10 minutes. You do have to start this bread the night before, because it's going to sit for between 15 to 18 hours, or 12 to 18. I feel the longer it can sit, the better it is, because it just, in a sense, it kind of digests itself, like it ferments, which is just better for your body. But it all depends on your time. If I'm short on time, I wait for 12 hours and I put it in the oven. Okay, so you put your honey in. Let me just make sure I am following my recipe. Okay, so all we have in here is the warm honey, it's the yeast, and it is the warm water. So then you add your flour, and you do the most difficult thing of this recipe. Give it a good stir. Okay, Scotty, can you just continue doing this for me, please? You can stir it. While he's doing that, this is not a very traditional people. You're not going to be kneading for half an hour. You're going to be kneading for 2 hours. Just kidding. You don't need at all. I'm willing to pay the price for that. No, this is a no-knead recipe, so it's actually terrific. Terrific? I heard that from somewhere, and now I think it should be a real word, so I use it. So it's a very loose dough. So what we're going to do, I do this the night before. I mix these things, and after I've mixed it and Colin has everything in, I just take saran wrap and I just put it over and I let it sit for between 12 and 18 hours. That's all that I do.
Room temperature.
Yeah, just room temperature. I just put it on the counter, wherever. It doesn't have to be near light or from a window, whatever. Just on the counter, close it, room temperature.
No showers?
No, just leave it like that. Say again? Oh, you can use your hands if you want to. Just before you do that. Does anybody have a Dutch oven pot like this at home? Does anybody? Then wash your hands before you use it. So this is what I do. I'm going to just pretend for a second this is all in there. Because that's all you do. You just mix it, all the dry flour. You just make sure it's nice and covered. And you would pretend this is a plastic wrap. And you put it over and you put it like that. So I do this at the night before I go to bed. And I just leave it like that. The next morning when I get up, you would open this and you would go, wow, look at that. And it would have grown by itself. Not a whole lot, but probably till there, depending. It doesn't really matter. Don't get into science. Just leave it 12 to 15 hours. That's so easy. So when I see, okay, 12 hours has come, this is what I do. I take this little thingy and I take some flour and I just flour my surface like that because it's a very sticky dough. It'll stick to you like glue. I do that and then I pour my whole dough onto the counter like that. Just dump it. It is very wet. I use a spatula just to kind of get it out. I dump it onto the counter and then you just want to fold it 4 times. So I actually, after I dumped it, I put some flour on the dough as well, just like that. And then I do the following. I go 1, 2, so I just fold in the sides, 3 and 4. And once the sides are folded in like that, I sprinkle, this is the cloth that I use at home. I sprinkle a red cloth like that with flour, and I just turn this upside down and put it on the red cloth. And then I take another little red cloth.
They have to be red.
Yeah.
Yes, make sure you get it red. And I put it over the bread like that, over the dough. So now you have folded it just 4 times this side. Doesn't have to be perfect, people. You just want to turn it in. Just take the dough, put it like that, put it like that, put it like that, put it like that, and then, okay, if you can put it on there for me, please. So let's pretend now this is the next day. Remember, this is going to stay overnight first, right? So he's pulled it in like this. Can you just pull this side? Oh, that's fine.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just, no, not really, but just put it down. That's fine.
It's sticking.
Okay, so now this is the next morning after you folded it in. I put some flour over it and I just cover it. And I leave that for about 3 hours. I would say give it 2 to 3 hours. This is in your recipe, so don't sweat about the small stuff. 2 to 3 hours. And then a half an hour before this is ready to go into the oven, I take this terrific pot. This is a Dutch oven. This is a cast iron pot. It's very heavy. I put my oven on 400 and I put this pot empty inside the oven, like that. You're going to create almost like your own outdoor fire oven. It's pretty cool. So you put the empty pot in there half an hour before the bread has to go in. This thing gets piping hot. So be very careful. I have mitts and I have working space and I make sure I won't trip over anything. When my beeper goes off, I take my mitt and I open this very quickly. I put it on because it's so hot. Now when you take this, you would see this thing have sagged out. I can tell you this is a wet dough. It goes like, whoa. And sometimes I squish it in a little bit because sometimes it goes out quite a bit just because it's so big. So I squish it in a little bit. And then this dough is so wet, you can't pick it up. So it's kind of like a pouring motion to get it into this pot. But anyway, I would take my dough. It's very wet. You can't even pick it up like this. And I would just kind of like put it in like that. And plop it in like that. And very quickly I would take this and I would put the lid on. And I put it in the oven. And I bake it for 35 minutes. That has to be precise for my oven. I bake it for 35 minutes. And once my beeper goes off, I open the oven. I take the lid off. And I bake it for another 5 minutes. And then you get your loaf of bread. You see?
Wow, that was
I did this morning. So this is what I did last night. I mixed my dough, I put it on the counter. This morning at 6 o'clock, I got up and I quickly put my dough because I go 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, this has to go into the oven at 9. So I got up and at 8:30, I put this in the oven, turn it on, and then came 9 o'clock, I just dumped my dough and I cooked it and I baked it. And this is a whole, and you guys saw what's the ingredients, right? How simple is that? That's just water, that's yeast, that's honey, and what else did I? Flour. That's all that's in the bread. And this is what we eat. This is the bread. Every week I make a loaf of bread like this. Is that easy or what? Super easy. I did include another recipe for you guys for those of you who cannot have a Dutch oven. There is another recipe that you can use, but I would highly recommend. I bought mine at Sears when it went on sale. It's terrific because you can bake cake in it. You can use it on the stove top. It's just terrific. If you want to, I'll give this dough to you afterwards and you can go bake a bread for yourself. I'll just leave it covered up here for now. Okay, how easy is that? So as of this day, everybody should be able to make their own loaf of bread. Yeah.
very interesting.
Copy? Can you let me just see if I'm on my point. Yes, question for you.
I have a couple questions. You said that the flour would go rancid. How long from when it is crushed or whatever?
If it is in the freezer, it'll stay a long time. I would say 6, 8 months, maybe even a year, it'll stay. If it's room temperature in yourself, probably like 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. If
So
it
when
can
you
be.
buy, like, for instance, Anita's flour, and it's in the packages, that's about 3 months or so?
They do regulate their temperatures and they do have a high volume of turnover because they distribute. So you should be good when you get it. But yes, from you buy it, probably about 3 months, it will go rancid.
And then you're saying that the flour or the dough has to sit for 12 to 15 hours or
Yeah.
so? Can you let it sit too long?
I've never let mine sat. Oh, maybe I did. Mine could have actually gone over 18 hours today. I think actually it did.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. Try it.
Okay.
Don't sweat it. Yes.
I've done like the bread in the bread maker, but with the whole wheat. I just wonder whether the spelt would work for that, or is it too sticky?
Spelt might be too sticky. I don't use a bread maker, so I don't really know what it is. I would probably suggest you buy a small packet and try it out first and see how it works in your machine. Yeah, I don't know. Yes.
Do you have to use honey as a sweetener, or can you use like maple syrup? Or...
That's a good question. I've never used another sweetener. I know that the point is just that it should feed the yeast. So if I'm you, I'll just try maple syrup, see what it does. Yeah. Yes.
Does the Dutch oven have to be greased at all, or just
Nope,
put it in
just straight. Wash it, put it in. Yep. Yes.
So gluten-free. Spelt is still a wheat, so that would have to be avoided. So I'm assuming they would just buy the flours that are gluten-free and do it the same way. Have you tried that?
Gluten-free is a whole minefield. Gluten-free will not work the same because the thing that makes bread rise is gluten. So if you buy gluten-free, your thing will not rise. Spelt does have gluten in it. But the gluten in spelt is so different than what you buy your normal whole wheat flour, which by the way is called hard red spring wheat. If people talk about, oh, I want whole wheat flour, it usually refers to hard red spring wheat, even though spelt technically is a whole wheat flour. Just our terminology is a little bit weird. In spelt is very different. So I would say unless you are a celiac, I would actually encourage people to try one of the different ancient grains, because I've had multiple people coming to Anita say, I can't eat gluten, I want to buy gluten-free flour, and I would say to them, are you celiac? And if they say no, I say, why don't you just try an ancient grain? And I've had people come back to me and say, I am able to digest it. Because it's so different, it's not adulterated, which is another thing. It shows you what food does to our body, right? If you eat the good stuff, somehow it just seems to work with us. So gluten-free is there's a lot on it. But Anita's Organic, I think they have about 12 gluten-free flours. But gluten-free is quite tricky. It's very hard to bake with it because it doesn't rise. It doesn't have the structure for it. Okay, I'm going to have to move along here. Yes, please. The next thing that you can do, or not the next, another one of the things that you can do is make or buy non-toxic household cleaners. You would be surprised how many toxic is in the actual cleaners of our homes. So we eat organic, but then we poison ourselves with Windex. So, yeah, I'll just say it because that's what it is. So, again, buy non-toxic cleaners. It is more expensive. You will see it by the bottle. It is more expensive. But you can also make your own. Just Google it. Or ask the older people. You know, before there were stores, people lived. They cleaned stuff. Ask them how did they do it. So there is recipes like vinegar and baking soda and borax and all kinds of things like that. So when you are ready and you're ready to take on, switch out all your chemicals. We don't have a single chemical in our home. I just use natural cleaner. Now, our shopping for those things have also greatly simplified. Like this is what I use. And I buy in bulk because you save a lot of money buying in bulk. It initially takes a big chunk out of your budget because I only have so much money every week. But it saves you a lot of money. But with this, I clean my windows, I clean my bathtub, I clean the toilets. I use this for our hand soap. This is the hand soap that you will see when you come and visit us. I bought this little container at another store that I will mention to you. It's just a little pump. So I fill this up with water till about there, and then I fill it up with soap, and it's terrific. This also has tea tree oil in, so it's a natural antiseptic, antibacterial, all of those things. But it just shows you, can you see how you can just save money and not buy the stuff?
What is that? Is that castor?
Yes, it's castor oil soap. Yeah, so this is called Dr. Bronner's. I think it's on your notes. This is called Dr. Bronner's, and it comes in different ones. Yes. I buy just the tea tree oil because I just feel it's good for cleaning purposes. I also buy the soap in a bar that we wash our bodies with. That's just what we use. Yes.
Where do you find it in bulk?
In bulk? This one actually I found in our health food store. You can get it in a size like this, but only in our health food store did I see this actual size. But this is terrific because we house sat a few months ago and I was reminded of the myriad of stuff that people buy for cleaners. A cleaner for this, a cleaner for that, a cleaner for that, a cleaner for that. If something cleans, as far as I'm concerned, it cleans everything. So I use this and I just clean everything with it. And it saves you money because you don't have to buy bottles and bottles and bottles of different things. And it's good for the environment because it's only one plastic bottle, yes.
So what would that cost?
Can you remember?
I think the regular price was $76 and we got it for
No, including tax, like my final price for this was $67. I would say don't get hung up on the price though. This lasts a long, long time. This is very, very concentrated.
2 or 3 years.
Yes, I definitely diluted with water. It is very strong.
And you dilute it.
Yeah. Okay, so when you are ready and you're ready to take on the next thing, decide to either chuck out all the chemicals in your home and either make your own or buy just a multi-purpose that kind of will do the job for everything. Okay. Next thing, replace vegetable oil with olive or coconut oil. I'm not going to go into details and explaining all the bad stuff about it. You can take my word or do your own research. But coconut oil and olive oil is just such a better choice for you. It's not modified. It doesn't have sprays and all of those things. look for the extra virgin coconut and olive oil. That just means it's cold pressed. It's the first batch that they used before they added any chemicals and things like that. Buy it in dark bottles because it lasts longer. Buy it in glass if you can. So even just, I mean, oil is such a big item that we use in our, not me personally, meaning in our homes. So if you can just even make that switch, stop using sunflower, safflower, all of those oils. Where does the olive? That's olive oil. It comes from an olive. It's so good for us. Did you, somebody want to say something?
Peanut oil.
I am not too familiar with peanut oil, although I do know that it's the oil that has the highest smoke point. So if a person wants to do stir fries and things like that, because what happens to oil is when you warm it up, it actually starts smoking, and the moment it starts smoking, it's causing free radicals. That's why we mainly use coconut oil if we want to do popcorn, because we make it ourselves. It is a higher smoke point. I do know that some people use peanut oil for stir fries and high cooking temperatures like that. I don't personally use it myself. I'm not too familiar with it. But I have seen it in some of health articles and things like that. So yeah, look into it. That's what I would say. Okay, next point. When you are ready, discontinue using your microwave. Sweet and short, it practically destroys everything in your food. The longer you use it, the more it destroys your food. So it is useless for you to buy organic produce and then microwaving it because it zaps everything out of it. Believe me. So it is possible. It is an adjustment. Colin and I have been living without a microwave for years. So, yeah, it's possible, people. There was a time when microwaves did not exist and people cooked their foods. So, learn to live without your microwave. It takes planning ahead. It takes make different meals that you cook.
Just the facts about the microwave. If you put something in a microwave for 2 minutes, it basically has 0 nutrients and content that's good for you left in it. It kills life, basically. So now you say, oh, we'll just put it for a minute and a half. No, that just means you've killed maybe 3/4 of the stuff. So the moment you turn on your microwave, it is now starting to kill the nutrients and whatever is good in your food. But after 2 minutes, you've pretty well got filler. That's all you've got.
And that's really the thing about food, and that's why I mentioned that scripture. Man shall not live by bread alone. I know it talks about the word when it continues, but it indicates to us that food is supposed to make us live. When you eat something and your tummy goes full and go, oh, I've been fed. No, you have a full stomach. You haven't been nourished. Because when you put everything in the microwave and it's cooked out of your food, your body is looking for something it can use to heal itself. But there's nothing there because everything was destroyed by it. Okay. So, again, once you've completed Group A and you're ready to move on to Group B, pick one of those items and go, okay, I think I want to start with phasing out date foods. And just take one item at a time and just walk it through until you have it under the belt, because it will be overwhelming to you. Okay, Group C. Once you're done with those 2 levels, you can move on to C, and you can replace plastic with glass in your kitchen. I don't have to say a whole lot about it. You will see if you lift up any plastic bottle, there should be a recycling. Yep, there's a triangle underneath there with a number inside. It will usually be a number 1 to 7. Depending on what the number is, it's different plastic. Like you can see, this plastic is quite different than this plastic. It is the recycling number, like what they can use it for. But plastic is toxic. It leaches into our foods. So when you are ready, get rid of all plastic, especially in your kitchen where you store your food. Because the longer something stays in a plastic container, the more it leaches into your foods. That's why when I have a water bottle, I don't drink out of a plastic water bottle. Because I don't know what stuff is getting into my water. So yet I'm thinking I'm so healthy, drinking petroleum with my water, and I don't even know it. So when you're ready, this is a terrific. I went out and I bought a whole bunch of these. This, the big ones, the medium-sized one. If you open my pantry door, this is what you see on the table, that's what you'll see. There's not the box, and there's not a can. I put everything in bottles like this. Yep, that's it. Oh, yes.
If you buy things in a plastic bottle, should you transfer it to a glass container?
I will give 2 answers to that. It depends on who I'm buying it from. Because if I am buying it from somebody that I know has a quick turnover and the plastic, it hasn't sat in the plastic for a long while, if I know we'll be eating it fairly quickly, I don't really mind it because I don't think it have leached into it so much. If it's a product, I know in a grocery store, it's been sitting on a shelf. Honey is a really good example. Honey is the only food in the world that never has an expiry date. It can't go off. So who knows how long they will keep it in store homes and then transfer it to the stores, keep it there for how long. I know enough to know that it leaches in your food. I don't know the extent of that, so I just stay away from it. So if I have to buy something from the store and I realize this is probably an item that sat in plastic for that long a period, I would put it in another container. Well, this is why I do this. When I buy stuff in plastic, I don't want to have all kinds, because this comes in plastic. Sometimes it comes in a paper bag, but I just go straight away and I just put it in my glass containers. Little by little. You can go and learn what the different numbers is on the plastic jars if you feel you need that information. And then I also use glass self-containers. Like when I put my lunches in, I just phased out all plastic and I only use glass containers for my lunch and things like that. The next thing, if you feel you're ready, you want to switch over your organic coffee and teas. Coffees and teas are one of the most highly sprayed pesticides and things on it. It's very heavy laden with it. And I thought, well, shouldn't I really put it at number one? And I thought, you know what? I would first rather let you fix your food, your essentials, what you eat every day, before you get your coffee and tea. But by all means, if you want to jump ahead and just switch out your organic to organic coffee and teas, go ahead. But that's the next thing you can do. You can switch those things out. Then I want to move on to learn to heal with natural remedies. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it for a simple reason. Colin and I don't really get sick that often. Really, if it is, it's a slight cold here or there, and I usually treat it with honey and garlic. Raw organic garlic is amazing. When it gets into your intestines and it does its powerful thing in there, I know it doesn't smell so good for people, but it is so healing. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a naturopath, but I have done some reading on what does honey do and what does garlic do. So when something presents itself to us, I'm like, well, if I use that and that, I think it should fix itself. And it's not always that I have a recipe. If Colin is not well, I just grab any healing food that I can think of, whether it's raw onions or garlic or honey, and just eat it all. Because I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know that God has made foods to heal us. What I do have is I have this book. It's called the Herb Book. And I have this one. It's called Herbal Medicine. And it's simple things like cinnamon. And you can just read where cinnamon comes from and what it does to you. Or you can read honey as a cosmetic or honey as a gargle. So I just got these two books. I know you guys have a bookman here in store. I got these two books. And if something goes wrong, I go, well, let's see. What does it say about constipation? And try it. I mean, these are real things that we face, right? I don't know everything, but I know where I can find help. I'm not saying buy this book. I'm just saying go to the library or go to the bookman or your bookstore and look for a book. And generally, I tend to lean towards the things that are older before everything got changed by modern science. So buy a book for you, but you would be amazed. You do not need a Tylenol. You can heal so many different things. When I am reading this book, sometimes I'm just reading it for fun. I am blown away by the things that you can fix by food. They're like, take 2 of these and then lay on your left side for 2 minutes and then you sit up and then the pain should subside. I'm like, how do they know that? I don't know. I haven't experienced all of those things. But what I have learned from reading this is foods heal. That's what we do. We don't have medicine in our home. I should say this. I do have Tylenol in the home. I use it in extreme cases when I've tried something and I urgently need one and it's not working. I will use it because I haven't arrived at a place where I have a foolproof thing that for sure if I take this. Because if I have to go out somewhere and I am in extreme pain and I can't fix it right now, I will use a Tylenol. But that happens maybe once a year. Okay, quickly moving on. The next thing is once you're ready, you can start buying personal hygiene products. This is your shampoo, your soap, your toothpaste. This was the last thing really that I changed into because I thought, really, we're already buying organic produce. Does it really matter what's in my shampoo? I really couldn't care less. Eventually, I started learning the ingredients and stuff that goes onto your skin goes right into your body. It does matter. But that's why it is only in group C. Don't worry about those things right now. When you're ready and you've got other things under control, then move on to that. I shop at a company. It is called the Eco, all things being eco. This is where I buy I don't use conditioner. Colin hasn't used shampoo for 2 years, so it's not necessary, but it's another story. But you can buy your soap, your shampoos, your toothpaste, and just go to them. I don't know what stores you might have here. The place where I shop is called All Things Being Eco. I will say this, on the table there I have business cards for all the places where I shop. I picked up a few books, so you can go and look at it. I did include all the links for you. But making organic and ethical shopping affordable, easy, etc. So I have made that switch. So when you're ready and you go, okay, I think I can, and start with one thing. Change your soap. Change your toothpaste. Just one thing at a time. I've read stories how people heal cavities just by natural remedies in foods and stuff. It's amazing. So I'm not giving a lot of information on it because, like I say, remember, this has taken me years. I can't give you everything right now. It's when you get to that topic, go, okay, I'm ready to learn about this. You take your shampoo, you read it, you go, can't pronounce that or that or that. Let me Google it. You Google, you go, oh, that's in my stuff. I need to find another way. And then you go and find another way. That's how you do it. Okay, there is a website I put on there. It's called skindeep.ca. It lists most products that's found in cosmetic and or conventional shampoos and soaps and stuff. Terrific website. It'll also show you how toxic that ingredient is. So if you go home, take your shampoo bottle, go, oh, I wonder what this is. Go to this website, type it in, and it'll show you how toxic that is when you expose yourself to it. Another one, when you're ready, switch your plastic bags for recycling bags. Seems like such an easy thing. It makes such a big difference on the planet. You will see, once you start living like this, your mind naturally moves from yourself to thinking, what about the planet? What effect are these things having? It's just a natural progression. I've been there. First, you just want to buy an organic apple. That's all you think, how can I afford it? But later, as you get these things, it starts growing and it's challenging even where you buy your stuff. To the point where I would pay more for a certain organic brand than for a cheaper organic brand because I know they are just jumping on the bandwagon and I don't support their morals and stuff. I am there. You might not be there. You just want to figure out how to buy an organic apple and that's okay. I'm just letting you know there is a natural progression where I go, I don't want to use plastic. So I just switch over to my recycling bags. And then the other one that you can pick is pick items that can purify the air in your home. Do not use conventional candles because it has lead in it, it has natural flavors in it, has so many things. If you can, buy beeswax candles and plants. You get actually plants that purify the air in your home, like peace lily or the snake tongue. Because you'd go, and this was such a shock to me, I'm like, well, we eat organic and we have no chemicals in the home. If you have a carpet in your home, if you have paint on your walls, you can be sure there's toxics in the air. So, moving right along. When you're done with that, then you can move on to Group D. Group D is a very unique group because, and this is really where I am finding myself in right now, you start thinking more about the environment and the planet and just about yourself. And I didn't pick this, it just naturally happened to me. The first one says replace toxic cook and bakeware with cast iron and glass. I know stainless steel, and please do your own research. I'm not saying you have to do this. I've just read stuff like stainless steel does react when it gets hot or with acidic foods and things like that. So I decided to make the change. I switched all my cookware over to my cast iron. I only have 3 pots. That's all I feel I need to use. But it makes such a big difference. Do not use Teflon. Teflon is non-stick. It's been proven. They've been sued because they didn't disclose the information to the public. If you have Teflon, get rid of that. But just slowly but surely, buy 1 pot a year. Come 4 years, you have a set of pots. It's not that hard. And just save a little bit of money every month to buy a pot for yourself. The other one is get pure drinking water. Recently, well, not so recently, but Chilliwack's water has been chlorinated, which has caused a big upset because we had one of the cleanest water ever. I refuse to drink chlorinated water because there's studies after studies after studies that shown the effects of chlorination in our water, yet government does not want to listen. So we just bought a water purifier. We just have a self-standing one. I don't know if you want to make a note about this. We use, oh, it says there, a Berkey water system. Not going to go into it. It's a terrific system. We've used it for years. It's actually a water system they use in the disaster areas. This is how they do the test to know if you've put your filters right in. We had to put our filters in, and then you throw food coloring in, and then when you open the tap, it should come out clear, and it does. So if it doesn't come out clear, you put the filters upside down. But they actually use this system in the water, disaster areas where there isn't fresh water. They would scoop it out of rivers or dams, lakes, what they have. It's so polluted, but when they put it through, people can actually drink the water. So that's just one that we found. There's a myriad. I had to do a lot of research, and that's the one we decided. Colin mentioned this, buy local and in-season foods. We have recently been challenged with this, of buying foods that's in season and local. I'm saying this carefully and don't go, well, I'm not there. You're right, you're not there, so you might not agree with me right now. Personally, we don't feel that we should be eating pineapples anymore because it doesn't grow here. But we're exposed to propaganda that says you should have 9 to 12 fruits and vegetables, and it feels like we have to eat so much food because our soil is not what it used to be. And I'm like, I refuse to believe that some people are at a disadvantage because they can't have access to all of these fruit and vegetables. It makes sense to me that what we need is grown where we're at. I'm not saying it's wrong to eat pineapple. I had pineapple the other day. Just saying, this is where the whole thing about fair trade comes in. They put big demands on very poor countries to export foods so that we can eat it at their expense. That is what fair trade means. So if you start looking into those things, you start making different choices and go, you know what, I'm going to say no in support of those people. So it doesn't just become so much about yourself. Grow your own food. You know, it's so simple to just start growing your own food. Even if you're in an apartment, start growing your own herbs. From herbs, you can make your own tea. You can sprout. Some of you are used to sprouting. You just use these little seeds in a packet. You can use it in a mason jar. You don't need this. You put seeds in, you put some water, you let it soak overnight. The next morning, you just rinse it, and it grows. In 4 days, you will have sprouts in it. Little things that you can start doing. So if you can, have chickens. Get your own eggs. This is probably one of the best things we can do. Start just cultivating our own foods. Because then you know from the ground up quite literally where it comes from. This one is important for me. The second last one is vote with your money. I saw a documentary that changed my life. Colin loves bananas. I love bananas, but he really likes bananas. And saw this documentary about bananas. And the men that work there got sterile within 3 years because of the poison that they spray onto the banana plants. So I'm like, wow, that is so shocking. And the men didn't know why. Anyway, so the one day, so they exposed the company, took them to court, everything. It's Dole, by the way, D-O-L-E. And the one day, we went shopping, and I wanted to buy our organic bananas, and I saw it's from Dole. And just beside it, it's the conventional bananas, which is also from Dole. And I realized this is the same company. The same company that's making these people exposing themselves to literally their manhood. It's the same company that's producing the organic bananas that I am buying. They are not in it for the love and the care of people. They're a huge company that wants to make money. They realize there's an organic market going on. So what they do is they grow organic bananas. I cannot support that anymore. I find it hard to buy bananas and give my money to a company like that and keep them in business because we truly vote with our money. So I just said, no more bananas. And Colin said, he's right on board. I can't support it. So when you get to this place, start looking at companies because there's a lot of bandwagon. I call them bandwagon organics. They're just jumping on this ship because there's a lot of money to be made, but they're corrupt. Their heart is not in it. Look for the companies that's real, that's authentic, that really want to produce good food and support those companies. So important, people. This is our food. This is our food, the very thing that either makes us live or kill us. I am willing now to rather pay more money for an organic brand that I know is for the right reasons than for bandwagon. I wasn't there in the beginning. I just want to take care of my family, but I have grown into that. But that is how far it goes. And then the last one is pass on your knowledge. This is one of the best things that I can do. In love, share your knowledge with other people. I just feel what happened to me is I was so ignorant. And then I was exposed to information like, wow, this changed my life. Pass that on to other people because people do not know. Before I do question and answers with that, I'll just show you. On the next page, it is a where to buy. I've listed places in Chilliwack, just because I live in Chilliwack. These are the actual places where I buy my groceries, different things that I buy. And then I looked up some places for you guys in Abbotsford. There is a place called Abundant Acre Family Farms. I know them because they're in Chilliwack as well. What you can do here is pretty cool. They grow organic fruit and vegetables. And then you pay them either installments, I don't know if it's monthly or quarterly, but every week you will get a fruit and veggie box of whatever produce is ready. So they're not a store, they're a farm, and you just pay them the money, and whatever is ready, they harvest it, they put it in a box, and you go and you pick up your box, fruit and veggies for that week. Totally challenged the whole thing about meal planning, because we would like to go, okay, this week we're going to eat this and this and this, and then you go and shop for that. I had to recently change my ways to go, okay, now I go and shop and I see what's available, and then when I bring home, I go, okay, what can I make with this? And then I make a meal plan with that. So there's some different options for you to look in Abbotsford. Resources, I'll just quickly point you guys towards this. This was the very first book that introduced me to divine health. Dr. Don Colbert, this is like a magazine, it's a Bible, but it shows all the different foods in the Bibles. So it's my very first one that introduced me that there's actually foods in the Bible that's good for us, and this is where my health journey started many years ago. He has written many books. This is my favorite one by far, The 7 Pillars of Health. If anybody wants to borrow my books, by all means, you can do that. It's a very good book. He's a Christian man, Christian physician. He has lots of good knowledge. Again, don't get hung up in all of it, but educate yourself. He has lots of good information on different things. And look for things like this. This is a magazine. It's called Edible. It's kind of like Vancouverish, but it also extends into our area. And it lists where you can buy organic meat. It's not all organic. It's just local. This is more what this magazine is about. But you find lots of organic and things in that. I do have a few magazines on the table if you want to take it. One more thing, I do have business cards, the local harvest market. This is where we shop for our fruit and vegetables. They're not certified organic, but they sell everything, or they farm in organic methods. Terrific. Get my eggs from them. Good free-range eggs. You can see where the eggs are. Amazing. So I have all of these business cards up on the table. There's one extra one. It's called the Yellow Deli. This is if I have to go and eat out, this is where I will eat out. They're a different tribe, quite literally. I don't really know what they are, but it's a different group of people. But they have their own farm, and they harvest their own stuff, and they make their own bread. So I feel safe enough if I have to go and eat out to eat here. I should say to Colin and I, we used to eat out a lot, and then since we learn about stuff, we can't really go eat out anymore because I'm like, oh, what are we going to pick? You just do the best you can, right? So when you look at the menu, go, what is the best thing that I can eat on the menu? And always ask, do you serve something organic? Because you're spreading a message to people. And then there's some websites just for whoever wants to. Oh, under books, the 7 Pillars, Nourishing Traditions. I don't have that book, but I've taken it out. I've read so many good reviews. I've read through it myself. It's a very good book. And then the Maker's Diet. I purposely did not put a ton of books in here because it's not all necessary. Websites, Keeper of the Home. This is a blog that I started and I followed with, and it has helped me with recipes for a long time in my life. Skin Deep is the toxic one, and then BC Seasonal Guide. This is a guide that will show you what produce is available when in BC. And then just on a budget, have a set grocery budget. I don't know how many people have a grocery budget here, but we have a set one, and I do not go over that limit. A very good way to do it is go draw the cash, put it in an envelope. You can't overspend. And just buy as much as you can. Buy stuff that's non-perishable in bulk like this, and you will save a lot of money. And those 2 items at the back is just for your own reading. Okay, is there any questions?
What about makeup?
Makeup is a very good question. It just has as many toxins in it. This company that I'm talking about, All Things Being Eco, she sells everything that is just pure mineral makeup. That's what I wear. So she has it in the back. You can go talk to her. She's so knowledgeable. Donna. She's amazing. I did bake some items for you there. I didn't go out of my way to do anything special. That is what we normally eat. on a day-to-day basis. That's the bread we have, that's the muffins we eat. Everything is natural, it's raw, it's pure. The granola bar there is not cooked, so you're actually quite feeding yourself. And this is a different mindset. We're not eating just to eat. When you eat that, you're actually getting all the good stuff in. It's like medicine when you eat that. Yes.
Is there no sugar in those goodies?
None. I do not use any sugar. I haven't bought sugar in 10 years. It's so funny. People come over to visit, and I'm like, all right, what will we use for them? Like, no, there's no sugar in. I will give you a handout for the recipes. All the recipes that's on there is in here except for the chocolate cake because while Colin is gone, it's his birthday today. So if you have any questions, I'm going to hang around here till everybody has answered or have answers to their stuff. Please help yourself, enjoy it, and I will hand out the recipes.